Logic in the spiritual life. Geronda, what is the place of reason and logic in the spiritual life? Which logic are you talking about? If you mean secular logic, then yes, this kind of logic has no place at all in the spiritual life. Angels and saints enter through our windows. We can see them, talk with them, and then they leave. There is no way that one can explain this logically. Today, with the increase in all kinds of knowledge, our trust-only logic has unfortunately shaken our faith to its foundations and filled our souls with question marks and doubts. This is why we are deprived of miracles, because a miracle cannot be explained logically. It can only be experienced. In contrast, faith in God can bring divine power down from heaven and overturn all human conclusions. It can perform miracles, resurrect the dead, and astonish science. From the outside, all things pertaining to the spiritual life seem upside down. If we don't abandon our own secular frame of mind in favor of a spiritual one, it will be impossible to become acquainted with the mysteries of God that appear so strange or upside down to us now. Those who believe that they can come to know the mysteries of God through mere scientific theory resemble a fool who thinks he can look through a telescope and see paradise. Logic is very harmful when we use it to scrutinize the divine, the mysteries and miracles. Logic drove the Roman Catholics, as I have heard, to put the Holy Communion through chemical tests to determine if it is the actual body and blood of Christ. But the saints had so much faith that they often saw flesh and blood on the Holy Communion spoon. Pretty soon, they will be putting the saints through an X-ray machine to establish their sainthood. What the Catholics have done is to get rid of the Holy Spirit and put logic in its place, and now they spend their time with white magic. A Catholic man with a good disposition came to see me. He was in tears. I said to him, "Among the most important differences that we have with you is that you put the mind first, whereas we put faith first. You have developed rationalism, and in general, you stress the human factor. With your rationalism, you limit the power of God, because you put a divine grace aside. You put a preservative in holy water, agiasmus, to keep it from spoiling. We, on the other hand, pour holy water on spoiled things, and they become fresh again. We believe in the grace that sanctifies, and for this reason holy water remains unspoiled for 200 years, 500 years, it never spoils. In other words, Geronda, logic and rationalism have taken a precedence over God, right? Why don't we rather say that it is pride that has taken a precedence? In this sense, logic or rationalism is essentially faulty reasoning. There is nothing sound about it. Pride is impaired reason. Logic full of egoism is logic that harbors demons. And this sort of logic is involved in our actions. We grant rights to the devil to intervene. Geronda, is logic of any help when a spiritual person is confronting temptation? In such cases, we should do what is humanly possible. And where something is not in our power, we should leave it to God. There are some people who rely on their minds in everything they do, like those who want to pray the Jesus prayer only with their minds. They try so hard to concentrate that they get a headache. If I were to approach the problems that I face daily in this way, do you think that I would be able to manage? I just do what is humanly possible and leave rest to God. I say to myself, God will show me, He will enlighten me, and I will know what to do. You hear many people complain, how will I get this done, and how will I manage to finish this or that? The smallest problem gives them a headache. If we try to solve problems using nothing but our logic, we will get dizzy. We must place God at the forefront of every one of our actions. We should do nothing without first putting our trust in God. Otherwise, we will agonize and tire our minds, and we will feel psychologically miserable. Geronda, you have said that you never get stressed. How is that possible? Yes, this is true. And it happens because I do not handle problems with my mind. If I get a headache, it is because of a cold or low blood pressure. And I have to deal with so many things. Every day, people come to me with their problems and their pain. I also think of those who have already come to see me. People with all kinds of troubles, the sick and so on. And if someone should get well, they don't let me know so that I could rejoice a little. I go on worrying about them. Geronda, what's the proper way for a monk or nun to deal with their reasoning, so that they will not be overwhelmed by logic? They should reason using spiritual rather than secular logic. It is good to turn the dial to the spiritual frequency and approach everything spiritually. It is important to think spiritually. Even lay persons who lead spiritual lives should not rely on secular logic. Such logic is the logic for good people who have no faith. Geronda, what do you mean by approaching everything spiritually? A spiritual approach is when you enjoy the opposite of what secular people enjoy. It is, for example, when you are pleased by the fact that people are not paying any attention to you. If we want to enter the spiritual life, we must move in the opposite direction from the one that people in the world would expect us to move. Is it money you want? You should give it all away, including your wallet. Is it a throne you desire? Be prepared to sit humbly on a stool. How about us, Geronda? How do we fare when it comes to logic? You need to be unscrewed. I pray that it will be love that will unscrew your minds, the divine madness of love. If it were any different, then those who go to psychiatric hospital should be considered better than those Christians who have the madness of rationalism, that is, the logic of pride.